What was the cringiest thing you did in your first relationship? Was walking her home anticipating kissing her for the first time at her doorstep and kept licking my lips because I didn't want to kiss her with a dry mouth. Halfway to her house she looks at me and says stop doing that. I realized I probably looked really creepy. Did ya get a kiss though? We were in 7th grade and had been dating for maybe 2 weeks. I printed a marriage certificate and showed it to her the first time she came over to my house. She called her mom and asked to go home immediately. This reminds me of when my first girlfriend gave me divorce papers when we broke up. Well, she said that she thought we would be better off just being friends, so I decided that I needed to do some big grand gesture to prove my love. It always worked in the movies, so what could go wrong? I practiced singing the song for weeks on my ukulele and figured that I would wait until after her softball practice was done and surprise her. I sang You're Beautiful by James Blunt. It's a freaking miracle anyone talked to me after that. We took a break and I posted a video to Creep by Radiohead with the caption for that special someone. Ugh. I almost cringed off my chair writing this. Could have been worse. You could have posted a video to Karma Police by Radiohead with the caption Girls Are Not to Be Trusted by Kevin. Let my mom purchase custom matching airbrushed shirts of 2 people kissing with my girlfriend and my name on them. I'd report my mom for child abuse if she suggested that. After I saw Eric propose to Donna on that 70s show, I went out and got a 25-cent ring from the local Pizza Hut and proposed at school in front of everyone. I was 16. He French kissed me after eating a bacon double cheeseburger with onions and all sorts of other stinky stuff. I told him I had a bad experience with French kissing with a guy before him. Lies. He was my first kiss at V, and I would appreciate if he never did it again. Bonus cringe. I rubbed vapor rub near my eyes to make myself cry when I broke up with him and told him I was overwhelmed and needed to focus on school. I was in 8th grade. Bonus cringe. I rubbed vapor rub near my eyes to make myself cry when I broke up with him and told him I was overwhelmed and needed to focus on school. I was in 8th grade. A+ for production value though. She started to ignore me at school. This was like maybe 1 or 2 weeks after we started dating. I called her house like 6 or 7 times one afternoon after school until her mom picked up, who was basically furious because I had been calling. I explained to her that Alexa was ignoring my calls. I hear in the background, "Alexa, why aren't you answering the phone?" to which she responds, "Because he's weird and he just keeps calling." I hung up the phone and went to my room. I carved her name in my wall with a pen. I still cringe about it to this day. I was too immature to talk about us one day having naughty time, so I'd giggle and say, "Do you know?" I licked her face to be random. God, that hurt to reimagine. Please don't mention hybridized eating utensils. Broke up with her because my best friend told me to. We were perfectly fine together, but I guess I kinda worshipped the guy and his advice. He later tried asking her out when we split. We were all 14-15. What an butthole. The letters I've wrote. Oh, those letters. 15-year-old me thought he was deep and romantic. He wasn't. I hope they don't exist anymore. In the 4th grade I wrote anonymous love letters to a boy I liked and left them in his desk. I saw that he threw them away, so I started writing my name on them. He still threw them in the trash. Was walking her home in our neighborhood. She says her parents aren't home. I say cool, you have the whole house to yourself, and walked back home, wondering if I'd ever get a chance to touch her boobs. He took me to Olive Garden and bought me that meat lovers lasagna. I'm pretty dang sure that's what it was called. And when we got back to his place I wanted to show him how appreciative I was, so I gave him my first BJ. Turned out I was not ready for that job and threw up the entire lasagna on his penis. God help me, I can't believe I'm finally sharing this story. That is horrible, but I am sure there is a meat lovers joke in there somewhere. I was 17. We had just had a fight. I drove to his house and blasted Scars by Papa Roach from my car and just stood awkwardly at the end of the driveway waiting for him to come out. I really wish this weren't true. Told her I loved her within the first 24 hours at the school parking lot. My friend accidentally whimpered "I love you" as he climaxed whilst losing his virginity. Talk of the school apparently. I hit my girlfriend with my car. It was a complete accident. We are still friends and it is a story that still comes up in conversation every now and then. Please start using the line "yeah, I hit that." I was super shy back in the day and I really liked this guy who had weirdly flirted with me in one of our classes. He told me I looked like some random celebrity when I wore my hair down and how hot she was, so I never wore my hair up again for the entirety of school. I replied later by slipping a note in his locker but didn't sign it. A few days after that, I threw in a t-shirt I thought he would like. He didn't know who it was from until weeks later when he finally wore it to school to see if anyone said something. My BFF at the time didn't. He realized it was me. Super creepy on my end. We ended up dating for a day before we broke up because we were stupid kids. Now, 15 years later, we reconnected and are now married. So, totally worked as planned. Wow, I totally did not see that coming. I love this. My first makeout session with someone was with my first girlfriend. We were in her bedroom, turned out the lights and went at it on the floor of her room. After a while I feel something wet on my face. I didn't want to stop so I just ignored it and carried on. She notices it too and decides to turn on the light because something is really wet on our faces. Light comes on and turns out I'd had a massive nosebleed and there was blood everywhere. I was covered in it. She was covered in it and there were blood stains all over her room. If that wasn't embarrassing enough, when she went to the bathroom to clean up, her mum caught her in the hallway. She sees the blood and immediately screams. Her assumption was that I was beating her daughter up and I get chucked out the house. Took a long time and explaining for me to show my face there again. Also lost my virginity to the same girl to cool and the gangs celebrate. That was cringy as heck too. I let him finger me at school with no idea the people at the next table could see. After the first date of going to the movies, I never put my arm around her because I was too scared. We sat in my driveway, and she didn't say goodnight because she was waiting for me to kiss her. I did nothing, so she finally kissed me. In defense mode, I lick my lips all the way around with my tongue like Scooby-Doo does with the cotton candy in the theme song intro. I even did the re kill me. Had to save this comment LMFAO. I got us matching dog tags with our anniversary on it after dating for around 6 months and would secretly get very sad when he wouldn't wear his. Declined staying the night because I was, and I quote, wearing a skirt and didn't want it to ride up while I was sleeping. I used to take laps around the playground and slap stickers on her ass. I don't know what I was thinking. Sounds like some weird ass anime crap. Tried to defend her honor. I got the crap kicked out of me by 3 guys. I earned cred for taking a beating, but she thought we should just be friends after witnessing that. TBH, there's worse things to have 3 guys beat the crap out of you for. That was a losing battle from the start unless you're some Jackie Chan looking punk lol. We finally had done it when at a party at my friend's house whose parents were home. The mother knocked on the door and said, "What is going on?" We did not stop. Ugh. I had honestly forgotten this until I read this question. First date to a movie. We see Titanic. Because that can only end well. We, as horny youngsters, aren't watching the movie, but instead making out and moaning in probably the 3rd row of a packed theater. I'd never made out before. I assumed moaning was involved. Ugh, so cringy and gross. My first kiss was in the movies at the Bounty Hunter. It was interesting because I also got my first BJ a few minutes later in the same spot. I remember 4 things. 1. My parents and her parents were 2 rows in front of us. 2. The looks of disgust on the old couple's faces 4 seats down. 3. She swallowed and it was way too much sensation for 16-year-old me. 3. Gerard Butler was in it. A girl that I was about to start dating mentioned she really wanted to go to New Zealand at some point in her life. To a group of people, not even just to me. So I immediately priced plane tickets and lodgings to New Zealand for a honeymoon. Then, unbelievably, before we had actually started dating, I told her I had priced our honeymoon. My defense was that if things did work out, New Zealand was so expensive I'd have to start saving then. We still dated, but only for about 2 months and neither of us have been to New Zealand. I was so nervous on the way home. Being 14, his dad drove us to my house to drop me off. I leaned over to kiss him on the cheek. A quick peck and then I threw up his mom's fajitas all over myself. Started dating 3 months before sophomore year ended. Once summer started I completely ghosted her. Skipped the first week of junior year. I thought we were still together. You can imagine how she reacted when I approached her for a kiss. The shame is still real to this day. Made an account just so I could finally tell this cringe-worthy story. High school girlfriend and I used to make out on her bed with the door locked while her parents were out there under the impression we're studying. Heavy kissing and at some point she says, "Cut it out, your breath stinks." Start kissing her neck and she slowly wraps her legs around my thigh. Couple minutes later starts breathing heavily. Couple minutes after that her legs tighten around my thigh. Couple minutes after that, she suddenly goes rigid. Eyes roll up till I see whites. Rapid breathing. Exhaling heavily. I panic. And this is my retarded thought process. Since all the blood's left my brain, she's choking. I should give her CPR. But she said no kissing her mouth. So I close my lips around her nose and blow it like a trumpet. She starts coughing immediately, but she's too polite to cuss me out. Says she needs a drink of water and leaves the room. We continued to go out for 6 years after that. This was with a girl I dated in high school. My dad was getting drunk at a block party, so I got the idea to take his ski boat and go for a romantic boat ride. So we park in the middle of the lake, start making out and stuff. We notice our feet getting wet. The boat was sinking, so I start freaking out, bailing water out with cups, sopping it up with my shirt and wringing it out of the boat, just freaking panicking. Right after I accept the fate of my dad's $12,000 inboard motor ski boat and calm down, I remember that I didn't put back the drain plug before dropping it in the water, so I replaced it, drove back. Told my first real GF that I'm glad she wasn't the most beautiful girl in the world, so I didn't have to worry about every guy trying to steal her. Speech 100. I met the love of my life at age 17, aka I started getting my brains fricked out for the first time. She was not shy talking about her prior boyfriend who had a super huge willy that she claimed was very painful. Of course there were other details about their relationship that she shared too, and she was complicated and we had a lot of fights which I couldn't get my head around. At some point I decided it would be a good idea for him and me to talk and compare notes. So I wrote him a letter proposing this. Mutual friends reported that he was utterly flabbergasted by this. But he approached me and said, "What would you like to talk about?" I think I babbled for 20 minutes after that, but I have no further recollection. Looking back, what the heck was I thinking? The entire 20 minutes you were thinking about his huge hog. I lost my virginity to my first girlfriend. I was about 16 at the time and was invited over to stay the night because her dad was on a business trip. I was excited because we have talked a bunch about doing it and I was ready to finally lose my virginity. I get to her house and we are straight to action. She pulls down my pants and my willy is as limp as top ramen noodle. She sucked me off for about 30 minutes until I could get at least half a chub. I put it in missionary and started humping. I didn't really know what to do with my hands, and at the time I knew that people pull hair during naught time. So I I stare at her missionary position and take 2 handfuls of her hair on both sides and just pull in a downward thrust while I'm humping. I sometimes think of this moment and want to disappear, lol. A guy almost completely erased this memory. So I was young and I had my first boyfriend. We were experimenting and I really wanted him to think my pee tasted nice. So I would literally rub strawberry freaking flavored lip gloss in my vagina. There's no way he didn't know. I thought it was such genius idea that I had to share it with my fellow women. So I wrote it down and passed a note in class to one of my friends. It dropped on the floor and all the boys read it and screamed laughing. Strawberry Lips was my new name and I cried for a week. You've been visited by the sauce chihuahua. You will be blessed with good pasta, but only if you comment "Simmer well, Papa." Simmer well, Papa. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.